Today we will start the flow through a circular pipe. In previous lectures we have discussed the flow between parallel plates, and now we will discuss the flow through a pipe, and this pipe is circular cross section. And in this type of flow we will discuss three cases. Number one, when the flow is through a cylinder. And it is in axial direction. Second, we will discuss flow between the annulus created by two concentric cylinders. Again, the flow is in axial direction. Case will be when flow is in annulus created by two concentric rotating cylinders. The difference between the previous case and this case is that in this case your cylinders are rotating with different velocities, or I'll write it in the specific case. So here it is in the annulus created by two concentric rotating cylinders, and it is in axial, not in axial direction, it is in transverse direction. So these three type of flows will be discussed under this topic, flow through a pipe. So I am taking the first one, case 1, in which your flow is through a circular cylinder. I am writing some physical properties of the fluid and the cylinder, which are applicable in all the three cases. As your fluid is, as usual, taken as homogeneous and incompressible. Secondly, in this case, your fluid is taken to be homogeneous and incompressible, and your fluid is taken to be of constant viscosity. In a cylinder or flowing through a cylinder. Number 2, cylinder or cylinders. You may write it like this: cylinder or cylinders are of circular cross section, infinite in length, smooth and rigid. These are not porous. Fluid may not penetrate through the cylinders. Now flow is steady, laminar. Now about the direction of the flow, I'll mention in the particular cases that what is the direction of the flow. Another assumption which I should mention in all the previous articles: no body forces are considered. So these are negligible in these flow problems. Next, there is axial symmetry of the flow. this also I may mention in the particular cases. Okay, so now I come to the first case. These are the common assumptions from 1 to 4. These are the common assumptions. So now I am considering the case 1, flow is through a circular cylinder. Case 1, flow is in axial direction of a circular cylinder such that the cylinder is at rest. So this case is called Hagen-Poiseuille flow. As I told you earlier, that don't be confused between Poiseuille flow and Hagen-Poiseuille flow, because in Poiseuille flow you are considering the flow between parallel plates. In Hagen-Poiseuille flow you consider the flow in a cylinder. So don't be confused in the two cases. Now what will be the velocity component? This is your flow problem, graph of the flow problem. Suppose this is a cylinder and this is z-axis. Now it is r, any point on the cylinder such that it is r is equal to a. So r may be any point here. This is theta. Your fluid is flowing in this way. This is the direction of flowing of fluid. So in this way, what will be your Q? There is no flow in radial direction. This is the radial direction. So no flow in radial direction, no flow in transverse direction, only there is flow in z direction. So it will be 0, 0, and you are just left with the third component of velocity, which is uz, and naturally your fluid flow will be governed by this radius, because as you are near this plate, near this section or near this wall, your flow pattern, your flow velocity will be different, because this is at rest and here is the flow because of the pressure gradient, and therefore your u, that means the component of velocity, will depend upon r. So uz will be a function of r. Okay, now because there is the axial symmetry and therefore uz will be independent of theta. I told you that there is the axial symmetry, so its velocity dependence on theta is not possible. So we write now the equation of continuity. It is 1 upon r delta delta r qr plus 1 upon r delta delta theta rho q theta plus delta delta z rho qz is 0. So I have to confirm whether the flow is possible or not. Here you see QR. QR means first component of velocity. This is 0. Q theta is second component of velocity. This is also 0. And this is QZ. This is QZ and UZ. This UZ is a function of R, where you have to take partial derivative with respect to Z. So it is also 0. So your equation of continuity is satisfied. So flow is possible. Okay. In another way, you can verify whether QZ is a function of Z or not. First of all, I have already said that UZ is not a function of theta, because here is axial symmetry and velocity is not depending upon transverse direction. So if I put the values of QR, Q theta and QZ, I get delta, I may put rho outside, delta UZ delta Z is 0, which is again showing that UZ is not a function of Z. So finally your velocity is a function of r only. So these are the two ways to say about the flow. One is, if I show that equation of continuity is satisfied, it simply means flow is possible. Or with the help of equation of continuity, I may give you the nature of velocity, dependence of velocity on different parameters. As it is clear here that uz is not depending upon z. So finally uz is not a function of theta, uz is not a function of z, so it is only a function of r. Now we come to equation of motion. Equations of motion. Equations of motion for steady flow. So I am not writing the first term. Now it will be rho q dot delta ur minus rho u theta square upon r is minus delta p delta r plus mu delta 2 ur minus 2 upon r square delta u theta delta r minus ur upon r square. This is your equation of continuity in r direction or radial direction. Then rho q dot delta u theta plus rho ur u theta upon r minus 1 upon r delta p delta theta plus mu delta 2 u theta 2 upon r square delta ur delta r minus u theta upon r square. Then last q dot delta for axial direction. This is for radial direction, this is for transverse direction, this is for axial direction. So uz is equal to minus delta p delta z plus mu delta 2 uz. Gravity force has been neglected, so these are three equations for motion. Now what is this delta? Q dot delta is ur delta delta z plus u theta delta r delta theta plus uz delta delta z. This is q dot delta. And what is delta square? Because I have to use delta square in these expressions, so delta square is delta 2 in terms of cylindrical polar coordinates. Its value is okay. Now in the light of these expressions, what will be the value of pressure gradient from 2? From 2, your ur means first component of velocity, which is 0, u theta, that means second component of velocity, this is also 0, so you get minus delta p delta r. ur is 0, u theta is 0, ur is 0, so you get only delta p delta r 0, which implies p is not a function of r. Okay, now come to this third equation. Here again u theta is 0, ur is 0, u theta is 0, u theta is 0, ur is 0, u theta is 0. So you are left with 1 upon r delta p delta theta 0, which again implies that p is not a function of theta. So neither p is a function of r nor p is a function of theta. And now we come to last equation, this equation. In this equation, from left part, from this left part, you have q dot delta uz. This is q dot delta. In this q dot delta, ur is 0, u theta is 0, and uz, yes, you have uz. In place of uz, you will put uz, but uz is not a function of z, so this side, left side is again 0. So it is 0 is equal to, now delta p delta z plus mu, here it is delta 2 uz and this is delta 2. I have to apply uz, delta 2 on uz. This is an operator operating on uz. Here you will put uz, and yes, uz is a function of r. So you get delta 2 uz delta r2 plus 1 upon r delta uz delta r. Now uz is not a function of theta, uz not a function of z, so you are left with this equation, and this is equation 4. So in this way you get that your p is not a function of r, your p is not a function of theta, but this says that your p is a function of z. So you can calculate your pressure distribution if once you know what is uz. This you can do in all other previous articles. If your velocity distribution is given, you can very well calculate your pressure distribution. Okay. So now we will calculate what is our uz. I get minus p plus mu delta 2 uz delta r2 plus 1 upon r delta uz delta r is equal to 0. And what is this minus p? You assume your delta p delta z to be p, and in this article it is taken p to be less than 0, or simply you can take delta p delta z is equal to minus p where p is greater than 0. So you can do either by this or by this. I am adopting this one. So I will just calculate what will be its integration. Minus p r upon mu is equal to 0. So I may write it as d dr of r delta uz, this is uz, delta just a minute, this is r is equal to pr mu. Integrate and get p r square by mu plus constant of integration, or delta uz delta r is p r upon mu plus a upon r. Once again integrate and get uz is equal to p r square by twice mu minus a upon, it will be a log r. It is a log r integration and plus another constant of integration b. So it is your velocity distribution where a and b are to be determined by the conditions of physical problem. This is your equation 5. A and b are to be determined. This velocity distribution with constant of integrations will be used in second case also, where your fluid will be flowing in the annular region. So A and B will be determined according to the boundary conditions. In this case, in our problem, your boundary conditions are just a minute. This is r delta u delta r p r square by 2. So I think there is some mistake. PR by 2 integrating, this is PR square by 2 mu plus A, and then U will be two is left, so it will be 4. Now it is okay. Now what are the boundary conditions in this case? Boundary conditions. Your cylinder is at rest. Okay. So condition is that U is equal to 0 at R is equal to A. What is R? Is equal to A, radius of the cylinder. cross section. And second condition is that u is finite at the axis, means at r is equal to 0. From expression 5 we see that because at r is equal to 0 your u has to be finite, so necessarily this term has to be 0, and for that this condition implies that a is equal to 0 necessarily. So you are left with uz is p r square upon 4 mu plus b, and we will apply this condition for u is equal to 0 at r is equal to a. This gives 0 is equal to p a square upon 4 mu plus b. So in this way you get your b. Now you put your b and get final uz, that means velocity distribution. So this value you get u is equal to p r square upon 4 mu minus p a square upon 4 mu, or p upon 4 mu r square minus a square. Clearly, as your r vary, your u varies. So it is very clear from here. Secondly, your velocity is maximum at the center, because if you put your p is negative, if you put r to be 0, you get p minus p a square upon 4 mu, and p is negative. So it is the maximum value of the velocity. This is very apparent, so we may write it very clearly. P maximum, u maximum is 4 mu minus a square is minus p a square upon 4 mu at r is equal to 0. So it is the center of this cylinder. Velocity is maximum at the center of the cylinder. Now you may calculate u average. How we calculate it? In u average, you just see this part. Suppose this is some point, say r, and this is a point which is obtained by extending it to dr, and this angle is d theta. Then for this cross section, this one, what is its area? R d theta dr. Now if u is the velocity at a single point, at one point of this whole cross section, then what will be u average? It will be double integral, because it is having the two variables, u and the cross sectional area. So to cover this whole portion of the cross section, you will have the limits for theta, you will have the limits for r. Limits of theta are from 0 to 2 pi, and limits of r are 0 to a. This is your flux, and this will be divided by cross sectional area, which is 1 upon pi a square. If you remember, in the flow between parallel plates, I have taken the width of the plates, depth of the fluid 1 upon h, then it was taken as u dy. Similarly here, this is the cross sectional area multiplied by u, and then if you integrate for the limits of theta and r, it will cover the whole cross section. So it is u average. It may be solved. First you integrated with respect to theta, you will get theta, put the limits, so it will be 2 pi uz r dr. Now you may put the value. This is again the flux upon area of cross section. So if you calculate it, you put just the value of uz, you put this value, and then this is uz. Then integrate, put the limits, and you will get its value as p a square upon 8 mu. You may be asked the relation between U average and U maximum. If you calculate these two, if you compare these, you get that it is U maximum by 2. So this is the relation for the Hagen-Poiseuille flow. What is the relation? The relation is that U average is equal to U maximum by 2. Right? Now if you want to find what is flux, you just multiply U average by pi a square into U average. So it is minus P a4 pi upon 8 mu. Again you may get the relation between flux and U maximum. So it is flux. Now you may find the shearing stress. Shearing stress. By formula you will find Rz. It is mu, because your fluid flow is in z direction and it is depending upon R. It is mu du dr. This is the formula for sigma Rz. And now you put the value of du dr, that means differentiated with respect to R. You will get PR upon 2 mu. PR upon 2 mu. So it is just PR by 2. Clearly you may get the skin friction. Here the skin friction will be just at the wall of the cylinder. So sigma Rz at R is equal to A is the only coefficient skin friction. Skin friction is P R upon 2 at R is equal to A. So it is P A by 2. This is the skin friction. Again you may be asked a relation of skin friction with U average. So if you solve, you will get this as 4 mu upon a U average. Right? Now coefficient of friction, that means you will divide it by the dynamic energy. So I'll get coefficient of friction. Again coefficient of friction will exist. So wall is R is equal to A. So coefficient of friction at the wall, that means at R is equal to A, it will be sigma Rz at R is equal to A upon half rho U average square. So when you calculate it, you will get 4 mu UA upon half rho UA square. I may write it as 8 mu upon rho U average. You cancel with one power with this. And if I write it in terms of Reynolds number, which is asked, it will be 16 upon Reynolds number. How will you calculate your Reynolds number? Your Reynolds number is LU rho upon nu. So in this case L means the length. In this case what will be your length? It will be diameter. So 2A. U means U average. Then rho, sorry, this is mu upon mu. So you can calculate it, and if you calculate it and you put it in the coefficient of skin friction, you will get 16 upon RE. Okay. This is Reynolds number. So in this way you can calculate all these values. You may also calculate coefficient of friction in terms of simple, in terms of the values given for UA. It will be rho pi A upon I think it will be P upon rho. So this is the value in terms of all values put in of A average and all that. Okay, so you may find its value in terms of pressure and viscosity. You may find its value in terms of Reynolds number, where Reynolds number is also calculated. You may find the complete value of Reynolds number by putting the value of U average. So in this way you get all the properties. If in this question you are asked about the pressure distribution, you just put your velocity. This is your velocity. You just put this velocity in you just this velocity in your this expression. This expression. If you put velocity here and you calculate your p, this p will be delta p delta z. You just integrate and you will get your pressure distribution, which I would explain in next to next article. So this is your fifth and this is sixth. This is seventh, U average 8, flux 9, then shearing stress 10, this is 11, and then this is 12 and 13. So these are all properties related to this fluid flow. Now we come to another case in which your fluid is flowing in an annulus. So case 2, fluid is flowing in axial direction in an annulus. Now how the annulus will be created? Suppose this is one cylinder of some radius, say it is of radius r is equal to b, and there is one another cylinder which is concentric and it is of radius r is equal to a. Now your fluid is flowing in this annulus and the direction of the flow is this one. This is the axial direction, z direction, and your fluid is also flowing in this direction. Again there is no flow in the direction of r, no flow in the direction of theta, rather there is flow only in the direction of z. So because your cylinders are at rest, all other physics is same as I have considered in case 1. The only difference is that in this case you have two cylinders, two concentric cylinders. So cylinders are at rest. This is just the additional condition which is taken here. So we will consider the same u which we obtained in the previous article or case 1. Uz is a log r plus p r square upon 4 mu plus b. This was the velocity distribution which we calculated in case 1. I am just giving it a new number 14. Now what are our boundary conditions? Boundary conditions for this case are that your uz is 0 at r is equal to a. That simply means at the inner cylinder, at the wall of the inner cylinder, the velocity is 0. At the wall of the outer cylinder, it's 0 at r is equal to a, 0 at r is equal to b. Why this happen? This happens because of no slip condition. Because your cylinder is at rest, the fluid particles adjacent to this wall will also be at rest. Your inner cylinder is at rest, so again by the no slip condition it cannot slip, the fluid cannot slip over it. Rather the fluid particles adjacent to this or fluid layer adjacent to this skin will also be at rest. And so in this case there is flow due to the pressure gradient. So your P will not be 0. In this case we will use the two boundary conditions 15 and 16 and get the values of constants A and B. It will be A log R plus this will be log A, because you will put the value of R is equal to A. So it is 0 is equal to A log A because of this boundary condition, plus PA square upon 4 mu plus B. And second, 0 is equal to A log B plus PB square upon 4 mu plus B. So these are two equations corresponding to the boundary conditions. You may solve very easily for A and B. You solve for A and B, find A and B and put in 14, you will get your velocity distribution. So you get the velocity distribution by putting the values of A and B as P upon 4 mu B square minus A square log R upon A upon log B upon A minus R square plus B A square. It is very easy to solve to find the value of U. In fact, this is the value of UZ. So it is 19. Now with the help of this UZ, you may very well find what is U maximum. What is the variable over here? Variable is R. So you will find delta UZ delta R. You will put it to be 0. And putting it to be 0, you get R as B square minus A square upon 2 log B upon A raised to the power 1 by 2. This is the point where U will be maximum. So at this point, you may find UZ, and UZ maximum will be minus P upon 4 mu B square minus A square log 1 upon A B square minus A square upon 2 log B upon A is to the power half upon log B upon A minus B square minus A square upon 2 log B upon A plus A square. I am leaving the calculation parts. You just put R in 19 and get UZ maximum. So this is your UZ maximum. Now what is U average? You know that U average was 1 upon area of the cross section through which your fluid is flowing, and then limits of R. So limits of R and limits of theta, and here it was UR d theta dr. Now what are the limits of theta? Same, theta will go from 0 to 2 pi. And what will be the limits of R? It will be from A to B. And what will be this area? This area will be pi B square minus A square, because you have to consider the area of the annular region. So area of the cross section due to outer cylinder will be pi B square, and area of the cross section due to inner cylinder will be pi A square. So subtract the two to get the area of the annular region cross section. So it is this much. So I'll divide U flux by 1 upon pi B square minus A square. Now again you calculate this with the help of 19. Use 19 and get U average. It will be minus P upon 8 mu B square plus A square minus B square minus A square log B upon A. So this will be U average. Now you can very well find flux. For flux, you just multiply 21 by pi B square minus A square, and you will get your flux. So it is flux. Now what is the shearing stress? In this case, the shearing stress will be sigma rz, and by definition it is mu du dr. Du means duz, this is duz. So you just calculate the derivative of uz and then solve. You will get p upon 4 2r. You just do the calculations and match these with these final results, r b upon a. Once you get sigma rz, you may very well find what is skin friction. That means frictions at the wall. Now in this case, your skin friction will exist at the inner wall as well as at the outer wall. So it will be at r is equal to a as well as at r is equal to b. So you will get two values. That means sigma rz, this is sigma rz at r is equal to a. So you just put r is equal to a in this expression and get p upon 4 twice a minus b square minus a square upon r is a log b upon a. And sigma rz for r is equal to b, it will be p upon 4 twice b minus b square minus a square upon b log b upon a. This is skin friction, and similarly you may get coefficient of skin friction, which means sigma rz upon half rho u average square. Again this will be calculated for r is equal to a and r is equal to b. So I think you may calculate it. You just divide it by half rho u average square and get its expression. So this is all about this case 2. Again in this case the pressure distribution is asked. You may very well calculate it, which I'll do in. So you may also calculate it for case 1 as well as for case 2. So now I am considering the case 3. Simply case 3 is not a particular case of general cases which have been discussed in case 1 and case 2. Rather it is slightly different, because in case 3 your fluid flow is just due to the rotation of concentric cylinders. It simply means if it is the cross section of the rotating annulus, then this cylinder is moving with some velocity, the cylinder is moving with some velocity, and because of the rotation of the two cylinders, the fluid layers will also move, and if it is moving with higher velocity, then this will be the velocity profile. So in this case your flow is not in the direction of r, your flow is not in the direction of z, rather it is in the direction of theta. So it is flowing in transverse direction. Therefore the physics of this problem is entirely different. Still the velocity distribution which you found in case 1 and case 2 will not work here. So we will derive this case independently. In this case the only change is that fluid is flowing due to the rotation of two cylinders. There may be other causes, but this is one of the causes, due to the rotation of two cylinders, and therefore a transverse component of velocity will exist. Transverse means theta component. And moreover, one more thing is that this cylinder is moving with some velocity, say omega 1, and say this is moving with omega 1 and this is moving with omega 2. So two velocities are different. Therefore the fluid layer which is adjacent to this will be moving with omega 1. next fluid layer will move with some relative velocity, and as the fluid will reach to the edge of the upper cylinder, it will move with omega 2. It simply means that the velocity component will vary with radius, and therefore moreover velocity will be a function of r. It will depend on r, radius. So what is your q in this case? It is 0, u theta depending on r and 0. This is your velocity distribution. And again in this case we can very well see that equation of continuity will be satisfied. You may check it. I have written equation of continuity in first case, so you can check that equation of continuity will be satisfied. Now we come to the equations of motion. In equations of motion, I am writing the equations. Rho delta dot this is rho q dot delta ur, I am writing for steady flow, minus rho u theta square upon r minus delta p delta r plus mu delta 2 ur minus 2 upon r square delta u theta delta theta minus ur upon r square. 1 rho q dot delta u theta r u theta u theta upon r minus 1 upon r delta theta, this is delta p, plus mu delta 2 u theta minus 2 upon r square delta ur delta theta, and then minus u theta upon r square. Q dot delta uz is minus delta p delta z and plus mu delta 2 uz. Again in this case gravity force term is neglected. Q dot delta is expressed as ur delta delta z u theta delta upon r delta theta and uz delta delta z. Delta 2 is delta 2 delta r2 1 upon r delta delta r plus delta 2 r square delta theta 2 delta 2 delta z2. Now in the light of q dot delta and delta square, from equation 1, if I say about ur, you will get ur to be 0, u theta is this much, so this equation implies rho u theta square upon r is, this is minus delta p delta r. We don't know what is the dependence of p, I'm just writing here, and then I'll come to this part, delta to ur is completely 0, delta, this is variation of theta with respect to theta, but u theta is a function of theta only, r only, so this will be 0 and ur is 0, so this entire expression will be 0. So you are left with this, just with this expression 3 and it is 4. Now from here u theta is a function of r. Okay, so I will operate q dot delta on u theta. Come to q dot delta. In this q dot delta, ur is 0, u theta exists, but u theta is not a function of theta, uz does not exist, so again this part is 0. In next part ur is 0, so it is 0, left hand side is 0. Then delta p r delta theta, Here we will take certain assumption. We take that P will not depend upon theta, because the dependence of P will be taken only just with radius. Its variation will be taken just with radius, not with theta. So this is just our assumption that we take it to be 0. So in your assumptions you have to write that pressure is not a function of theta. This is just an assumption. In the research problems you may consider P to be a function of theta as well, but in this problem P is taken to be depending on R only, radius only. Now come to this term, mu. It is delta 2 operating on u theta. This is u theta. Theta is a function of R. So we get delta 2 u theta delta R2 plus 1 upon R delta u theta delta R. Up to this point. It is not depending on theta, it is not depending upon z. So these will be 0. Next it is ur is 0, and this is u theta. So I'll write one term is left. Next term will be minus u theta square upon u theta upon r square, sorry, u theta upon r square. So this is equation 5. Now if I come to this third equation, uz is 0, so delta p delta z is 0, which implies that p is not a function of z. So finally your p is a function of r alone. So now we are left with two equations, 4 and 5. We will proceed by equation 5th, and equation 4 will be used to find the pressure distribution. Once we get u theta, we just put here u theta and get what is the pressure distribution. So we will proceed by taking equation 5 to get the velocity distribution. Equation 5 may be written as d theta of d dr, derivative with respect to r of du theta dr plus derivative of u theta upon r, and then integrating you will get u theta is a r upon 2 plus b upon r. This is 6th. Now we come to the boundary conditions. What are the boundary conditions? Your inner cylinder, that means when r is equal to a, or you may say when r is equal to r1, what is your velocity? It will be a omega 1, because inner cylinder is rotating with velocity omega 1 at r is equal to b. I am writing a and b because in some books they have assumed it to be a and b. Otherwise you can take r2 or b omega 2. So these are the boundary conditions. You put in 6, you will get a omega 1 is equal to a upon 2 plus b upon a. This is for a and b. Then b omega 2, sorry. This is b omega 2, this one is equal to a b by 2 plus b by b. You just solve these for a and b and get u theta. If you solve these, you will get a is equal to omega 2 b square minus omega 1 a square upon b square minus a square. For b, you will get minus a square b square omega 2 minus omega 1 upon b square minus a square. So just putting these values of a and b, you may get your u theta, your velocity distribution. Now what is your velocity distribution? Putting A and B, it will be u theta is equal to 1 upon b square minus a square omega 2b square minus omega 1 a square r minus b square a square upon r omega 2 minus omega 1. This is your final velocity distribution. This is velocity distribution. Now if you want to calculate what is your pressure, we get an equation that dp dr is equal to minus rho u theta upon r, u theta square upon r, which I told you that we will use this equation for the calculation of pressure distribution. So you can very well put the value of u theta square from here. It will be r b square minus a square whole square, and then omega 2b square minus omega 1 a square r b square a square upon r omega 2 minus omega 1 whole square. You solve this whole square, you just integrate, and you will get what is the pressure distribution. I am writing this pressure distribution. This will be P is equal to minus rho upon b square minus a square whole square, then omega 2 b square minus omega 1 a square whole square r square upon 2 minus a square b square omega 2 minus omega 1 upon twice r square minus twice omega 2 b square minus omega 1 a square b square omega 1 log r plus some constant of integration. Now in order to find this constant of integration, you may assume that at r is equal to a, p is equal to p1. That means at the wall of the cylinder. You may also assume that at r is equal to b, p is equal to p2. So this is one constant of integration. Either you consider this condition or you consider this condition. If I consider this condition, I will get the value of d, and then putting this value of d here, I will get my p. So this will be your p, that means pressure distribution. You calculate it from this expression 8 using this condition 9. You will d, you will get your pressure distribution. So in this case, you will be asked the pressure distribution. You may be asked U maximum, which you can calculate now by the previous procedures. You may be asked U average, which is again may be calculated. But in this case, this is important that how we calculate the pressure, because this may be asked in any of the article which I have discussed earlier. Now there will be questions based on these articles, in which, as I told you earlier, that you will be given that what is the velocity of rotation of the inner cylinder, what is the radius of inner cylinder, what is the radius of outer cylinder, and what is the velocity of rotation of the outer cylinder. You have just to put these values, these informations, and then they may ask you the skin friction, they may ask you the average velocity or the maximum velocity or the pressure distribution. Go through examples and use these calculations or the values of the properties for those particular examples. So this is all about your flow problems. Thank you so much.